The Senate today proposing changes to that grand compromise as new details emerge from the almost 400 pages of draft legislation. One thing is abundantly clear. For American taxpayers, this is a costly proposition. Bill Tucker has a number of the details.
When senators talk about their immigration bill, they like to emphasize border security. They don't mention a proposal that would force taxpayers for the first time ever to pay for the lawyers for illegal aliens and take legal services away from America's poor.
You're shortchanging them to help somebody who broke the law. You're rewarding somebody who did something wrong and punishing these people who now might not be able to get a lawyer.
The bill would give illegal aliens priority over Americans in poverty. Other unmentionables include the Z visa. It's called a temporary visa, but it can be renewed indefinitely for the life of the visa holder. No other visa is so generous. All background checks on those applying for amnesty must be completed within 24 hours, although there is no justification why and plenty of reasons to suggest that complete background checks can't be done so quickly. Gang members will be given amnesty if they renounce their gang membership. If an illegal alien is arrested in an enforcement raid and might be eligible for amnesty, the government must provide help in applying for the Z visa and release the illegal alien.
This is just shocking on its face, and I think that's part of the reason why the authors of this bill have not made it public. Most of the Senate has not seen this bill yet.
Another unnoticed provision: the bill would change the law and reduce the southern border fencing project from 854 miles to 370 miles to only 200 miles.
And if this bill passes, never ever should anyone who is ordered deported from this country leave, because under the bill, absconders will be eligible for amnesty. Those who follow the law and follow a judge's deportation order, Lou, if they go home, they will not be eligible for amnesty.
Well, that's a metaphor here. I mean, if you follow the law, you're punished under this legislation.
Exactly.
If you don't, you're rewarded. Hence the expression amnesty. The idea that American taxpayers would be paying for legal representation. Explain that.
I can't explain. I even talked to an immigration lawyer today who thought it was a bit misguided as well. It's never, ever been done historically. In fact, historically, they've been forbidden to give money to illegal aliens for legal aid.
Again, I will say, no matter what your position on illegal immigration or amnesty or open borders, how extreme your view may be on either side of it, if you truly can come to any conclusion that suggests that the Senate is making sense here, I can't even imagine. It's crazy. Thank you very much, Bill Tucker.
Welcome.
Let's take a look at some of your thoughts now. Vincent in Illinois said, as a Democrat, I'm very upset that my party uses the polls and the will of the people to justify their position against the Iraq war direction, while on the immigration issue, they totally ignore those polls and the will of the people. Joy in North Carolina, it's not that the American people don't want the jobs illegal aliens are doing. It's that the American people want to be paid more than $12,000 a year when prices of gasoline, housing, and food are going up. It's an insult when they say the jobs Americans won't do. When I'm working in a meatpacking plant making making only $6.15 an hour. Roger in a house said, Mr. Dobbs, you delve for the truth no matter the topic or who you interview. You're not afraid to tell it like it is. I really enjoy watching and listening to your segments, and we thank you. From Karen Marie's, however, who does not tell us exactly where she's from, quote, try telling the truth, dirtbag. We'll have more of your thoughts later in the broadcast. Former Senator Fred Thompson says the Senate's grand compromise is likely to fail because the American public simply doesn't believe the government. Thompson is a possible candidate for the Republican 2008 presidential nomination, saying the legislation won't win the support of the public, and he said Americans don't trust the senators to live up to their promises. Thompson said nobody believes them. It goes to the bigger issue of the lack of credibility our government has these days. Members of the audience were impressed by his lack of political jargon and his plain-spoken approach to the issues at hand. We'd like to know what you think. In tonight's poll, we're asking simply, do you agree with Fred Thompson that our elected representatives in Washington have a total lack of credibility these days? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. As America's frustration with our elected officials grows, some Americans, more of them actually than ever, are calling themselves independent. According to an average of CNN Public Opinion Research Corporation polls, 42% of all Americans now consider themselves independent. 42%. 33% in those polls identify themselves as Democrats, and 25% identify themselves as Republican. I have to say it. Yeehaw. Coming up next, the Senate's immigration compromise, some language that recognizes a partnership that doesn't exist, but will advance that partnership among the United States, Canada, and Mexico. I'll be talking with Robert Pastor, a proponent of what he calls a North American community. He doesn't like me calling it a North American Union. He's accused me of fear-mongering. I'm scared. We'll clear the air. Stay with us.